Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. It is called the Foreign Pollution Fee Act of 2023. It comes from Senator Bill Cassidy, Republican of Louisiana, and it combines a lot of poisonous and fallacious ideas in order to extort via federal tariff foreign manufacturers and innocent domestic consumers. Even as Senator Cassidy claims it's a way to stop the Biden administration from directly imposing a carbon tax on us via the IRS. The move is shockingly brazen and founded on economic and climate lies. As Travis Fisher and Gabriella Beaumont-Smith report for the Cato Institute, quote, "The long-awaited text of Senator Bill Cassidy's, Republican of Louisiana, legislation to impose a tax on imports based on pollution intensity was released on November 3rd. Fisher's previous piece highlighted how Senator Cassidy's concept of a foreign pollution fee is 1. A carbon tax on imports, 2. Will hurt American consumers, and 3. Lays the groundwork for a domestic carbon tax. Unfortunately, those facts remain upon inspection of the bill. Oh, they sure do. And Fisher and Beaumont-Smith hit many of the most dangerous and assumptive provisions of Cassidy's monster. Quote, specifically, in addition to the 3 concerns listed above, the Cassidy carbon tax, 1, inappropriately delegates powers to the executive branch, 2, improperly tasks the national laboratories with establishing trade policy and the implied level of a carbon tax, 3, incorrectly defines pollution exclusively as greenhouse gas emissions, 4, creates an arbitrary list of 16 covered products, 5, invites less carbon-intensive countries to impose a carbon tariff on the United States. All of which invites anyone who teaches economics, like yours truly, or who has a notion of economic truth, to recognize what author James Bovard explains so well in his book, The Fair Trade Fraud. That is, tariffs might be allowed by the U.S. Constitution, but they're economically destructive, harm consumers to the tune of 8 times as much as the specific American businesses that the politicians choose to so-called protect. They promote lethargy in those politically favored American businesses, and they harm the ability of consumers to not only save money, but to direct that money towards other domestic businesses, perhaps startups that could employ people and improve living standards. And of course, on any moral level, one must acknowledge that tariffs are a form of politician-pushed, government-enacted theft. But of course, the stale and septic tariff idea is just part of this Cassidy proposed disaster in waiting. The Cato authors note that Cassidy will hand the Department of the Treasury the power to control this carbon tax/tariff, to expand it, or do anything any future chief executive might want via the already rights-stifling executive order that presidents seem to adore, or they'll simply do things through Treasury Department so-called policy. Well, this implies that future tariff moves might come directly from the Treasury Secretary, rather than through the constitutionally mandated process of Congress passing tariff legislation. And Cassidy's bill not only hurts us and U.S. manufacturers if we try to buy relatively inexpensive imported goods, or the manufacturers need those. This has language that lays the groundwork for, you got it, domestic carbon taxation. Quote, although Senator Cassidy insists this foreign pollution fee is not a carbon tax, it is exactly a carbon tax on American import-consuming businesses and consumers. Moreover, the establishment of any carbon pricing scheme in this part of the code lays the groundwork for establishing a domestic carbon tax. Indeed, the Cassidy scheme would set into perpetual motion new bureaucratic government offices where, far into the future, the bureaucrats would claim that something was a climate threat and then make us pay more if we wanted to engage in these sinful transgressions of actually buying it or selling it. Quote, in addition to giving too much authority over its carbon tax scheme to the executive branch, the Cassidy carbon tax creates a carbon pricing board. Specifically, Section 4696 of the Cassidy carbon tax states, there is hereby established the National Laboratory Advisory Board on Global Pollution Challenges. The duties of the board include calculating the baseline pollution intensity of the covered American goods and the respective pollution intensity of the covered foreign goods. The board would be comprised of federal scientists, officials, and private sector CEOs to advise on the right tax rate. As I often stress, the concept of pollution rests solely on the idea of damage to person or private property and has to be expressed through individual tort claims established under British common law. It's all just government gamesmanship, a theater act of the absurd in which politicians keep claiming that what actually is beneficial energy use is creating a climate catastrophe, and then they make up costs that really are just arbitrary ways for them to grab more money and control over us and over business people. In fact, as the Cato authors note, competitive markets help actually make our lives better and less polluted. Quote, the inappropriate framing of greenhouse gases as pollution misses a broader point about the pollution-reducing benefits of free trade and global capitalism. The stated purpose of the bill, on page 4, is to raise global environmental performance to ensure a healthy environment and secure global public health benefits. However, erecting high barriers to trade isn't going to secure global public health benefits. As a detailed report by the Center for Conservative Climate Solutions points out, economies that engage in free trade are cleaner, healthier, faster-growing economies. As they characterize it, free economies are clean economies. The Cassidy carbon tax takes the wrong approach by attempting to limit trade in the name of improving environmental performance. And there's much more, ranging from the 16 items currently on Cassidy's carbon tariff target list to the fact that the history of tariff imposition actually sees foreign nations typically respond by imposing their own tariffs on U.S. exports. Now, that's a bad idea, Mr. Cassidy. Each new year sees more and more pernicious policy ideas and proposals, and they not only promote false premises, they take away more of our liberty. Aren't members of the GOP supposed to be aware of that? Doesn't seem like it. Thanks for watching, one and all. Please like and subscribe and watch us on Rumble where they don't censor us. Of course, we're still on YouTube where they do censor us. Please double check that you're subscribed there. And please share the videos far and wide. Share and share alike. Find us at MRCTV.org. That's MRCTV.org to find out what the whole team is doing. While you're there, please consider donating to the Media Research Center and visit the MRC Store. You can find us in Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Parler, and of course on Twitter/X. And on Twitter, I'm at Gard Goldsmith, and on Gab, I'm at Gardner Goldsmith. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.